The question for tonight's debate is this: would the world be better off without religion, or conversely, is religion a force of good in the world?
You have the sense of the sublime, and you know this God person, right, personally. You have a personal relationship with this God?
I believe so, yes.
You believe so?
Yes.
You know so?
There is a difference between belief and knowledge.
So you don't really know?
No, that's not right. A believer is somebody who has reason for what they believe, but there is an element of faith. Which is more likely? That there is no bill, and the 98 people are hallucinating and inventing and just saying that they have these relationships, but they're actually lying, or that there really is a bill, 98% of the people have an experience of him, and the other two guys just don't know Bill. Which is more likely?
Okay, then introduce me to Bill.
I will. Bill,
You can't do it. You can't do
introduce
it.
you to Bill. I can. You see that the atheists believe in the idea of the individual. They believe in science as an autonomous enterprise for getting knowledge. They believe in compassion as a social virtue. They believe in the equal dignity of women, the abolition of slavery, the importance, the dignity of human life. Well, I think if we look at this list, we see that these values came into the West, and in some cases into the world, because of Christianity. It comes theologically from the Christian idea that we are equal in the eyes of God.
Where does the Bible say that we are all equal in the eyes of God? Are you referring to Ephesians chapter 3, verse 28? Is that what you're talking about, where there's neither male nor female, Jew nor Greek? If you read that in context, as Dinesh has encouraged us to do, you will see that just before that verse, it applies only to baptized Christians.
So we know that Christianity, in a sense, has this effect of making people more charitable, more philanthropic. But I'm making the broader point that Christianity is, in a large sense, in a macro sense, the author of many of the core secular values that we live by every day.
Paul wrote in the Bible, God is not the author of confusion, but can you think of a single book that's caused more confusion than this book? People killing each other over this book, the way to interpret this book. There are no good arguments for a God. Basically, the arguments for God boil down to gods of the gap, the fine-tuning of the initial constants. How do you explain that? The origin of the primordial cell. How do you explain that? These all turn out basically to arguments from incredulity. They're not arguments from evidence or for evidence.
So in order to find out if Christianity did it, we have to compare people who are acting under the Christian influence with people who are acting under the atheist influence. You've got to compare the record of Christianity with the record of atheism.
The blood sacrifice that has to be shed for this God whose vanity is so insecure that people have to die before he feels properly praised. The genital mutilation in many religions. The idea of a holy land, as if God were some big real estate agent making sure that people don't tread on my holy land, and if you don't worship the Sabbath, the whole land has to be scorched. He's like this big 2-year-old up there who needs to be praised all the time, because if you don't praise me, then the world's going to suffer.
And we see that when we look at atheism, the Christian record, or even the record of religion in general, is bad, but the record of atheism is incomparably worse.
The church's historical opposition to women's rights, it wasn't the church, it was the radicals. It was Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who was an atheist, Susan B. Anthony, who was an agnostic.
It is equally true that every well-meaning atheist who never harmed a fly is implicated equally in the horrific crimes committed by atheist regimes.
Look at the undeserved power and authority that's been given to that politically corrupt criminal organization that is harboring child rapists.
I think what we get here is the music pastor's tour through science and history.
She died because of this primitive, brutal, bloodthirsty, dangerous book that has been foisted upon the world by people who think they have a direct pipeline to truth.
You should pray for the sick, but don't seek medical treatment. Right away we see that this is a highly marginal minority view. Out of 1,000 Christians, you may have 3 guys who think like that. So how do you refute an ideology by slamming 3 of its practitioners?
I think if you agree with me, then there are verses in this book that are dangerous to the world, and you should do what Thomas Jefferson did. You know what Thomas Jefferson did when he dug through the dunghill of the Bible to find a few diamonds? And there are some good teachings in here. Thomas Jefferson tore it out. He said, throw it away. This is not worth keeping in our world because we have better ways. We have reason. We have kindness. We have an enlightenment, which was the real cause for the progress of the Western world.
It seems like Dan was a kind of a biblical fundamentalist. In other words, a kind of ignoramus. And he read the Bible literally, and now he reads the Bible literally. He's gone from being a fundamentalist ignoramus to being an atheist ignoramus.
These religious books, since they are not reliable or trustworthy, when you hold them up to the light of reason, they should be rejected. Put them on the shelf, read them like you would read the Greek myths, read them like you would read the Roman fables and all that. But let's not pretend that it has any real relevance to our modern world.
The Bible also talks about the mountains will clap their hands. Most Christians kind of understand what's being said here. The only people who don't are small camps of people in Montana, Richard Dawkins, and Dan Barker.
Dinesh is right. There are many multiple sources of social conflict. We're all the same human beings on the same planet. It's not all religious. Many of these conflicts had multiple reasons, but religion was a big part, if not in many cases, the major part of them.
One thing you learn when you read the Constitution, when you read Hamlet, there is a way that educated people read a text. And I would suggest that that has not been occurring in dealing with the Bible.
I posit that Dinesh is the one who is misinterpreting it. Those original writers in those days were not postmodernist educated Christians. They were just normal people reading the book, and when the book told them that the prayer of faith will save the sick and the sick will rise up. You didn't quote the rest of the verse, Dinesh. The sick will rise up after they are saved. Can you fault the Newman parents as biblical fundamentalists for taking that dangerous book literally and causing the death of their child? In the Bible, it is life that is dispensable.
The point I want to make is that poor Dan Barker is still a religious guy. It's not that he is an atheist, he is a wounded theist.
But there's nothing that you religious people do that we non-religious don't. You don't have an edge on compassion. Do we need some tablets coming down from the sky to tell us, oh, by the way, there's something wrong with killing? We figured that out on our own without the religious teachings.
He spends as much time thinking about God as I do. He's as obsessed in denouncing God as I am obsessed with praising Him.
Nico, I'm sure you're a good guy. I'm sure you're a wonderful guy, but how can you have any pride supporting an organization, a bunch of old males who find pleasure in abusing and ruining the lives of people? They pretend to be the moral leaders of the world, but look at their actions. The church's opposition to birth control. If the Pope had any concern for morality, he would put his religion aside and start advocating for birth control on this planet. Instead, he is creating more misery. He's creating more AIDS because of his stupid, backward religious. He's too religious to care about humanity.
So it's not unreasonable to ask, why am I here? What is the purpose of my life? That's not a stupid question. The most intelligent people in history have asked it. The truth of it is, if death were it, then all our other purposes are stupid.
I got up here and said that Christians are good people. I admit they are good people, in spite of Christianity. They are smarter than Jesus. They are kinder than the God of the Bible. They are much better, and we should applaud you Christians for the good work you do. And
in other words, it fits the meaning of life into a larger perspective. Science can tell us how we got here, but it can't tell us why. Religion supplies an answer to the missing question that no other discipline can. And finally, that experience of the sublime. We have it sometimes in sexual union. We have it in moments of poetic inspiration, but it's almost always transitory and very short-lived. Secular transcendence is momentary, fragile, and fleeting. Religion offers something bigger. It offers even the ordinary guy who cannot compose a poem and may not even have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, nevertheless a chance for an everyday experience of the sublime, an everyday sense that you are in communion with a larger being that made the universe and cares about you, and that invests everyday life with this sense of mystery, drama, a sense of cosmic significance. That is a very practical, tangible benefit that religion delivers in the world. Versus what? What is the atheist message? You are an evolved creature who came out of the amoeba. You are here for no purpose, and death is going to obliterate you once and for all.
Christianity and the revealed religions cheapen and flatten life of its value. We who don't believe in a purpose of life or some eternal life actually have a greater appreciation, a greater, I would say, courage for facing the fact of our own mortality, because that is what it is. And if that is what it is, Dinesh, would you not accept it? Do you still want to wishfully think in this, believe in this Bill, who somehow gives you a sense of the divine and the sublime? Because why? What difference does it make? You and I can both be good men. We can both raise our families. We can both do charity. We can both live our lives without this huge blue elephant in the room, this huge Holy Bible getting in the way of social progress.
So atheism offers you nothing. Christianity offers you everything. The choice is ultimately yours. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give one more hand to our fabulous speakers and our moderator.